Good morning, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. So happy to have some time with you this morning. It's Tuesday for anyone who needs to know that. We are so grateful to spend this time with you. As you know, YWTV is about inspiring and engaging you. And today we are continuing a conversation that's part of our Why Women Vote series and an important part of a conversation, important part of our electoral process. And I'm so happy to have Jeremy Lentz, who's the executive director of the Teaneck International Film Festival, with us today to discuss this important issue. So today's spotlight in YWTV is about a documentary film called Suppressed 2020, The Fight to Vote. It's a short and powerful documentary, and it's really about the focuses entirely on the growing threat of voter suppression in the 2020 election. This film won the Juried Award in 2019 at the Teaneck International Film Festival, and it was produced by a film company out of Los Angeles called Brave New Films. The film itself follows a story of Stacey Abrams' failed bid for governor of Georgia during the 2018 midterm elections and provides some pretty stunning facts about how she was robbed of the governorship by voter suppression tactics that were being implemented throughout the states nationwide. So the film was recently updated this month. As we know, we're in a very important election year. And not only because of the presidential election, there's many, many important elections that are happening. And so with that, they updated the film this year, and it includes now a talkback from our own New Jersey Senator Cory Booker and Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy. And the updates to the film basically focus on the impact of COVID-19 on voting rights, the Black Lives Matter movement, and Trump's plan to delegitimize vote by mail and take on the U.S. Postal Service. The film shows how voter suppression tactics are set up to disproportionately affect Black Americans and minority voters. And as you know, these are all important issues to us. The YWCA's mission, as we know, is to eliminate racism and empower women. And we have been very focused on bringing issues to you right now on that are important to women when they're voting. And again, this is part of this discussion. And again, so with us to have this discussion is the wonderful Jeremy Lentz, who is the executive director of the Teaneck International Film Festival that we also call TIFF, TIFF, all caps. And it's a wonderful festival we have here in Bergen County that has feature-length films, documentaries, short forms, and from a variety of cultures. And the YWCA of Northern New Jersey has been a sponsor of the film festival for many years. We are in full support and aligned, with the work that they're doing. And Jeremy and the film festival itself actually won one of our racial justice awards a few years back. So we're going to talk about the film festival. First, I want to tell you about my friend Jeremy, though, just so you know who's chatting with us today. Under his leadership, TIFF is really refocused and committed to activism and really making change. It's in recognition of its mission. The Star Ledger, the New Jersey's leading paper, dubbed TIFF the film festival with a social conscience. TIFF is considered to be one of the most prominent social justice film festivals in the nation. Earlier this year, Jeremy was honored by the Bergen County Executive, the Bergen County Chosen Freeholders, and the Bergen County African American Advisory Committee during Black History Month with the Business Contribution Award. And he's also the 2019 recipient of the first Community Partner Award presented by the Links of Bergen County. And he was named Teaneck's Man of the Year by the Teaneck Chamber of Commerce. And if I'm correct, you just won a Hometown Heroes Award also from the Congressman, which is listed here.
That's correct.
Yes, so there's one more on this list, folks. In addition to all of that, and his work in the festival, which, let me tell you, is definitely a full-time job and a passion project for him, but he also serves as the director of Lentz and Lentz and SAT prep, Lentz and Lentz SAT prep with college prep classes throughout the northeastern part of the United States, and is a proud investor in the Broadway production of Tina, which I saw and it was fabulous. The Tina Turner musical, and the upcoming Broadway production of American Buffalo. He also serves as on the Young Patrons Committee at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater and on the host committee for Fire Island Dance Festival. So he is a busy, busy guy. So we're so grateful that he was able to find some time to join us today to talk about this important issue. Jeremy, welcome.
Helen, hey, what a great introduction. Thank you for that. It is so good to see you outside on a
Yes.
porch in the summer, and to see you, continuing to carry the baton and do the hard work and fight the good fight that you guys fight over there at the YWCA.
Yes. Well, we do it together. We do it
You
together.
do.
And I do believe, and I know you do too, that shoulder to shoulder, we're going to make a difference, in this fight together.
We
So
have
before
to.
we get into this film, though, I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know a little bit about the Teaneck International Film Festival. And one of the things that I find the most fascinating about our local festival with TIFF is, most people would think about a film festival being all about entertainment, but there's such a social justice, root in the one that we have here. And as I shared, it's a nationwide model. So can you tell me a little bit about TIFF and how we ended up, with that being the focus here, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we are entering and celebrating our 15th year this November. The film festival is a project of the Puffin Foundation. For those of you who don't know the Puffin, they're a national foundation, and they fund projects for artists who are marginalized based on race, gender, religion, etc. And I took over the festival as executive director in its fourth, going into its fifth year. At that point, the festival didn't have a permanent theme. And a lot of people told me in taking over a festival, well, who wants to come to Teaneck, New Jersey or Bergen County to see a film festival when you're right in the backyard of New York City and you have Tribeca and the New York Film Festival and, hot dogs and all of that. So the question became, well, what's unique about Teaneck? What's unique about our foundation? And the fact was, Teaneck has this unique history of touting to be the first town in the history of the United States that voted to racially integrate its public school system, and the history of the Puffin Foundation that funds projects throughout the country to do amazing work on the ground on so many different levels. So we decided to kind of mold those two points and establish activism making change as a permanent fixture of the festival. And what that really did was help to not only establish us more in the film festival world by providing us with a niche, but I think it also served as a call to action because this community is so engaged. And that's something that we've seen that residents and our volunteers have really rose to the challenge to make this a successful event. And the partners that we work with, that we were co-founded with, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Bergen Passaic chapter, the Bergen County Links, were co-founding partners with us. And they really helped to build and expand on the festival. And over the years, we've been able to work with different advocacy groups like the YWCA, who have helped, again, expand our mission and get the message out that, the work that we're trying to do here is to engage people on the issues that matter. So that's really kind of how the festival, I think, has grown over the last 10 plus years. And this year we're moving into a new phase, which is a fully virtual festival. And the one thing that's really exciting about that, while, we can't be face to face, and of course that's really hard because there's so much about our festival that's, interactive, community-based, just connecting with people. The nice thing is by being virtual, we can now open our festival up to the whole country, to the whole world. So people aren't limited by their geography. So I think that's exciting. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with our audience and how people log into the films. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is, whereas when the festival is in person, it's done over a 4-day period, 4 to 5 day period, over a long weekend. We're going to expand it this year since it's virtual and do it over a few weeks. So it'll be spread out. And that way we feel that people, can engage in a different way. So we're looking forward to it. It'll be a new challenge for us.
Well, it's as we talked about before we started the broadcast. I mean, these are different times, and but it's definitely an opportunity to get everybody refocused, and it's wonderful to see that TIFF has done the pivot, as everyone keeps talking about, and created this opportunity for people all around the world, to get engaged and see this wonderful festival that we have here. And Teaneck itself has such a history of being a social justice and activist community, so it's makes all the sense in the world that we would have this amazing film festival here. So with that, this film in particular was a crowd pleaser and a big winner at the last film festival. Is that right? Is that
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah, so last year, this film came to us from Brave New Films. They're based out of Culver City in Los Angeles. We've worked with them for many, many years, and they're really, an activist film company and produce incredible content from, films relating to the NRA and gun violence, to things like Suppressed and raising awareness on the fight to vote, the right to vote. So when we
Mm.
saw this film, we immediately grabbed it. The League of Women Voters was a partner in the film, in the sponsorship, and it won our juried award last year. And I think, films like this are so critical for telling the story of what's going on in our local elections. And I think, the story that this film primarily focuses on is Stacey Abrams' run for governor during the midterm elections in 2018, and essentially what happened in Georgia with voter suppression and how laws were changed, votes were purged, and really it's an eye opener, sheds so much
Mm.
light on understanding how people's right to vote is being suppressed. So I think, the conversation needs to be had because so much of this kind of goes back to what happened in 2013 with the
Right.
Supreme Court decision on the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So in 2013, the Supreme Court decision on Shelby County versus Holder really gutted the heart of the Voting Rights Act. And so tell us a little bit about how that opened the floodgates for voter suppression.
Yeah, so 2013, the Supreme Court passed a 5-4 ruling. And basically, to summarize what the ruling said, Section 4, which is the primary section that was gutted, basically what it said was that states who had a history of discrimination when this was established in the 60s had to get federal approval if they wanted to change their voting procedures. So, for example, that would mean if they want to close down a polling place, they had to get approval. If they were going to do, redistricting in their electoral map, that had to get approval. And the majority opinion wrote that the issues that we were dealing with civil rights and in the 1960s are kind of past, and we don't need to do that anymore.
Mm.
So that kind of core part of the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, was gutted. And what that did immediately after that ruling, Republican lawmakers in Texas and North Carolina immediately passed these voter ID laws, which we know primarily target Black American and minority voters and suppress the vote. And since then, many, many, many other states throughout this country have followed suit with different kinds of discriminatory practices, voter ID laws being one of the primary ones, polling place closures being another. Also, Arizona has enacted something called proof of citizenship. So again, it's kind of this veiled discrimination. And you feel like these states that have had a history of discrimination keep coming up with new ways of making it harder and harder for minority voters, particularly Black Americans and Latinx voters, to vote. And it's very, very troublesome.
Well, it is troublesome. Obviously, everyone, we are always encouraging everyone to exercise their right to vote, but we want to make sure that they can actually do it. And these laws are definitely impeding that. So, in July of this year, the Senate enacted the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Can we talk a little bit about how that legislation, will proceed in terms of impacting this issue?
Yeah. So July 22nd, a few days after the passing of John Lewis, the Senate enacted legislation, 48 senators, which broke down to 47 Democrats and one Republican senator, who was Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, voted to implement what's called the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And in a nutshell, what that act would do is to restore that Section 4 of the Voter Right Amendment. So it would effectively require federal government approval for these changes to take place. As a result of that, Republican lawmakers in the Senate have refused to bring it to the Senate floor. So there's been no vote on it, and the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, has effectively blocked a vote on legislation. So this is something that, is clearly becoming a partisan issue. And I think it's something that we really need to become engaged, that this is an issue that requires the populace to engage, and it requires people to understand if this is something that is important, and if we are going to hopefully change the shape to ensure democratic elections, we have to call on our elected officials, call your state senators, and tell them to support this. Demand that this gets a vote. Another thing, too, that's really critical in Congress is making sure that vote by mail is being funded. So that's another thing that people, should be engaged in, because as we approach this election season, which is less than 90 days away, and even after election season, these are things that are going to, play out. And I think it's important that people understand these are real issues. And the fact that this was named after John Lewis hopefully gives people some steam. These struggles, these fights, we have to continue the fight that was started decades ago, and we have to be the change agents if we want to ensure our democracy and a future, in my opinion, for our future generations, for ourselves and for our kids. It's up to us.
For sure. And, it's too bad that it's being made out to be a partisan issue, because this really is an issue that impacts everybody, and no one should be looking at it that way. As you
Right.
said, protecting our democracy is something everyone should be invested in.
It's an American issue. I mean, the right to vote isn't Republican, it's not Democrat. This is an American issue, and we need to fight for our democracy. And we're seeing so much in our democracy being stripped away.
So we do encourage everyone to check out this film. I also want to share our YWCA USA. This is one of our national advocacy issues, supporting these efforts as well. And last week there was a wonderful town hall discussion that was held with the one of the leads of the Black Lives Matter movement, a lead in the Indigenous community movement, a lead in the Latinx movement, and it was a very rich discussion about voter suppression and voter engagement, and how it impacts Black communities and other communities of color, and ways to get engaged. We'll put the link to that town hall here, so anyone who wants to watch it, we encourage you to watch this movie. We encourage you to watch the town hall. We have put, as Jeremy and I were talking, we've listed a number of various links here to give you information on this issue, and we do encourage everyone to get educated. This is something that is, impeding your democracy, and you really need to take action. So Jeremy, you shared a few ways. Some obviously these um, bills, and that we should be making phone calls and writing letters, and making sure that they're getting the attention that they need. What are some other thoughts you have on how people can be engaged between now and the 2020 election to make sure that we have a good showing in the vote ahead?
Yeah. So this is what's critical, right? And these are the simple things, the easy things. So I have a list because I don't want to forget anything. First thing is make sure you are registered to vote. That's the primary. If you're not, you can go to vote.gov to sign up to vote based on the state, wherever you live, and it'll direct you to the application. Also, you need to know your state's voter ID laws. So if you do live in a state that has a voter ID law and you're unsure of it, you can go to Vote Riders, that's VOTERIDERS.org, and that's a website that will break down state by state what voter ID laws are. So that way, it'll help to ensure that you arrive at your polling place and you're not going to be denied the right to vote, or that you have proper identification. So make sure you know what the rules are in your state because they differ. Also, you want to confirm your polling place if you're voting in person. Polling places have changed. I know in my town, my polling place changed with the recent primary election. So make sure that you're aware of where you go to vote because of COVID, lots has shifted. So pay attention if you get your polling place ballot in the mail. If you're unsure, call your local board of elections. The other thing is we need to talk about voting by mail. Many of us are going to be voting by mail in the states that we live in. And it's important to be aware when you vote by mail, you want to vote early. The earlier you vote, the better. That will help to ensure that your vote is counted. Know how to fill out your election ballot. These ballots are confusing, and it's not always a simple process. And if you don't fill it out correctly, your vote won't be counted. And don't think that states don't make it more complicated to fill out some of these ballots. So if you're unsure of how to fill out the ballot, call someone and find out how to fill it out correctly and make sure to send it in early. And also by voting early, that'll free you up on election day. So if you want to volunteer on election day to help people, drive people to the polls, or volunteer or phone bank from home for your favorite candidate, you can do that. Another thing is to share this conversation on social media, right? Let it go viral. Share the movie Suppressed. Watch it. It's a great film. It's not a long film. It'll help people to understand what's going on and I think open a lot of eyes. The other thing is engage your senators, right? We've seen so much with the Black Lives Matter movement over the past few months, and it's great to see all these young organizers out there. I know in Teaneck, our rally had thousands. It was organized by our students. It was incredible. But it's also important that our youth understand it's not just about protesting or demonstrating. You have to be registered to vote. You have to understand that the hard work comes by voting. And then when you do vote and you get your candidates in, that's really when the hard work comes. You got to stay engaged and roll up your sleeves and do the hard work and continue to vote in every election, whether it's your municipal election, state elections, or national elections. People need to vote every election and understand what the issues are. Call your senators, demand that they pass the John Lewis Voter Rights Advancement Act. Call Congress, make sure that funding vote by mail is going to be supported. Volunteer to get out the vote. You can canvass. You can take their buses that'll go to battleground states. You can knock on doors. It's a great social activity. It's a great way to meet people. And things will be, I'm sure, set up with social distancing. You can also sign up to be a poll worker on election day. Those are just a few things. And there's much more. If you go to the Brave New Films website, where the film is hosted through, They have a bunch of call to action things, and I know you have that
Yes,
um, on
posted.
your website as well. But I think, the key thing that people have to understand, you have to vote, you have to be registered, you have to know the issues, and you have to stay engaged. This is, not a one person job, it's a movement. And we have to be active participants in our communities.
Agreed. Agreed. We not only put them in office, but we tell them what to do, and we have to use
Exactly.
our voice to do
Right.
that.
They
Sure,
work
we have
for
to.
us, right?
They
Right?
do.
I
That's
think
right.
that's what people forget. They're elected
Sure.
by us, they work for us. So we need to
Right.
hold our elected officials accountable. If they do something that we don't like, you need to let them know. So write, email, show up at a council meeting, show up and have your voice heard. And there's something very empowering about learning how to use your voice.
Yes. Yes, there is, and there's also a lot of great opportunities around to teach you that as well. So Jeremy gave a great list, and we had one of our viewers asked if we can post Jeremy's list. So we will put some of those details in the comments after the broadcast, so you can circle back to find them. Also, again, just to share and remind everyone, we put a series of links in our comments here, and many of them are related to the list that Jeremy provided. So we do encourage you to go check those links out, and it will take you to details that will address some of the items that Jeremy shared as well. And I echo Jeremy, if there's someone in your life that you wish had been watching right now, do not despair. You can share this feed with them and they can watch it later. This is a great opportunity to spread the word on this very, very scary issue that's happening in our country right now. And, we really need to collectively put an end to it. And again, this is not a this is an issue that everyone, no matter what party you're connected to, should be concerned about because it absolutely does threaten our democracy. So with that, Jeremy, I think you've got some an important accessory to share with our viewers
Yes. Oh
to
my
make sure
God.
that
Yes,
yeah.
Helen. So, my dear friend, Cheryl Lee Ralph, who's a big activist, she makes these masks, these bedazzled vote masks. And you may have seen people wearing them all over, but I wear it.
I love it.
I wear it out. I engage so many different people. It's like this icebreaker when I go out and people look at me and, the reaction is interesting to see what you get, but it's great. And I would encourage, if you want one, go to the Cheryl Lee Ralph Instagram page. They sell them there. But
Great.
it's important. Spread the message, not the disease. Wear
Yes,
your masks.
I
Register
love.
to vote. Engage. Let's fight the good fight and do the hard work. Our lives really depend on it. So, I think that's so, so, so important.
I couldn't agree more, and I love the mask, and I love the motto there of spread the message and not the disease. We really do all have an opportunity and a voice and a ability to make a difference here. It's not just a comment that we're making. It's absolutely true, and I would also say we all have a civic responsibility, to make that happen. So with that, we encourage you to the link to watch the movie is also in the comments here. We encourage you to check out the Teaneck International Film Festival social media sites and their website. Sign up to get their e-blasts. Make sure you're following them on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. They are posting all the information about their upcoming festival, and you do not want to miss it. There's a lot of great films, and this new way that it's being rolled out this year definitely offers a wonderful opportunity for you to get engaged and educated and inspired, from the wonderful films that Jeremy and his entire committee, which we are a very proud part of, pulls together such a wonderful offering. So with that, and I want to thank everybody watching. We know that the Jeremy fan club is a strong one. and I'm a proud card carrying member. And so, with that, for those of you watching, though, again, please feel free to share this broadcast. We encourage you to join us later this week. Also, tomorrow, a very important discussion we're having with our Healing Space Program Director and the Prevention Education Coordinator from Ramapo College's Office of Violence Prevention, Women's Center, and LGBTQ Services to talk about the anxiety about returning to college and sexual violence. I know many people might feel with a lot of the higher education institutions going virtual that sexual violence and some of the issues that are impacted by Title IX are not an issue any longer because people are remote. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There still is a lot to talk about on that issue. And for those of you who don't know, August 14th is a big date. The Department of Education changes to the Title IX and the Clery Act, all the changes that are in effect that Betsy DeVos put in place are starting on August 15th. And we will educate you on how that's going to impact students on college campuses. So we hope that you join us tomorrow, especially if you have someone in your life who is attending college, an important discussion. And on Thursday, the YWCA is doing our weekly Share the Mic Now. As you know, we have been using our platform to help bring out the voices of Black women in our community and the work that they're doing and the experiences that they've had. And this week, we're very excited to share with you Tiffany Kerr of Chic Situations. And, we'll have a wonderful discussion with her. So I hope you can join us for that. So with that, we want encourage everyone to stay healthy, stay well, stay connected to us at ywcanj.org and all of our social media sites here on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. Stay connected to Teaneck International Film Festival. Again, they're on all those same platforms under Teaneck International Film Festival, and they have a very active social media account, so you'll enjoy being part of it. And stay well. And Jeremy, thank you so much for
Oh, thank
sharing
you
all this
so much,
important
Helen, for
information.
doing this. Thank you. This was a great conversation. Great to see you and catch up. This was
Always,
fun.
always,
This was
always. Take
fun.
care, everyone. Have a fabulous day from here. Bye bye.